Liam had always been drawn to places that seemed hidden from the world. So when he first heard about the cliffside monastery, perched high above a valley of rolling forests and jagged cliffs, he felt an irresistible pull to visit. Tales told of ancient wisdom preserved within its stone walls and of monks who lived simple yet extraordinary lives. For Liam, who had spent much of his life in crowded cities and noisy streets, the thought of such a peaceful place was almost magical. The path to the monastery was not easy. It wound steeply through narrow cliffs, over loose stones, and past twisted trees clinging stubbornly to the rocky slopes. Liam climbed carefully, the wind tugging at his coat, his breath quick but steady. Every now and then, he paused to look back, catching sight of the valley below, bathed in the golden light of late afternoon. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time, beautiful in its vastness, terrifying in its steep drop. As he neared the top, he finally saw the monastery. Its stone walls rose like a fortress from the edge of the cliff, but there was a warmth to it. Smoke curled gently from chimneys, birds flitted from rooftop to rooftop, and the sound of quiet voices carried on the wind. Liam felt a strange sense of calm, as if he had found the exact place he was meant to be. He hesitated for a moment at the entrance. A wooden gate, slightly worn from years of weather, stood before him. Then, with a deep breath, he pushed it open. The courtyard beyond was simple but alive with small details, herbs growing in neat rows, a stone fountain trickling water, and sunlight dancing across the walls. Monks moved slowly, deliberately, each absorbed in their task yet aware of the world around them. One of them noticed Liam immediately. The monk was not tall, but there was a quiet strength in the way he held himself. His brown eyes were warm, and his hair, tied back simply, moved slightly in the breeze. "Welcome," he said softly. "You must be the traveler from the valley below." "I am Aaron." Liam felt a small smile form on his face. "I am," he replied, feeling suddenly less nervous. "I have heard of this place for many years, and I wanted to see it for myself." Aaron nodded, as if he understood more than the words conveyed. "You are welcome here. Walk with me, and I will show you around. The path is steep, and the monastery can feel confusing at first." As they walked together, Liam felt an easy rhythm settle between them. Aaron pointed out simple things, a section of herbs used for healing, the way certain stones had been placed to channel sunlight, the fountain that provided fresh water from a nearby spring. Liam listened, fascinated, and slowly began to ask questions. Aaron answered with patience, sometimes quietly, sometimes with a hint of gentle humor that made Liam laugh more than once. By the time they reached the main hall, the sun was beginning to dip behind the mountains. Liam felt a sense of awe as he looked around. The hall was large but simple, with wooden beams that glowed warmly in the fading light. Scrolls and books were arranged neatly along shelves, and small lamps cast a soft golden glow. Liam could feel the history in the walls, the weight of countless years of learning, reflection, and care. Aaron noticed Liam's attention. "The monks here live simply, but every day has meaning," he said. "It is not only about learning or prayer, but about understanding the world and ourselves. Each moment is a lesson if we are willing to see it." Liam nodded slowly. There was something about Aaron's voice, calm and steady, that made him feel he could stay here forever. And yet, he also felt a spark of curiosity. This place was peaceful, yes, but it seemed to hold secrets, waiting to be discovered. As night fell, Liam stood at the edge of the cliff near the monastery, looking out over the valley below. Stars began to appear, first faint, then bright, like scattered diamonds. The wind whispered through the rocks, carrying a soft chill, but also a sense of possibility. He felt a quiet excitement in his chest. He had arrived seeking knowledge, but already he could feel that something more awaited him here, something that could change his life in ways he had not yet imagined. Aaron appeared beside him, not saying a word, but standing close enough that Liam could feel a sense of calm presence. Together, they watched the stars and the lights of distant villages flickering below. In that quiet moment, Liam realized that the monastery was more than a place of learning. It was a place where connections were made, where courage and kindness could grow, and where perhaps, one could find a companion for life's journey. And though he did not yet know it, the bond forming between him and Aaron was the first spark of something enduring, something neither time nor challenge could easily extinguish. The next morning, Liam woke to the soft sound of bells ringing across the monastery. The air was crisp and carried the faint scent of herbs and wood smoke. For a moment, he just lay in his small room, listening to the quiet rhythm of life here. It was unlike anything he had ever experienced in the crowded city streets, where noise and hurry filled every moment. Here, there was calm, and Liam felt it seep into his chest, slow and steady. Soon, Aaron knocked gently on the door. "Good morning, Liam. Today you will join the others in their daily work," he said with a small smile. "It will help you understand the life here more fully." Liam dressed quickly and followed Aaron into the courtyard. Already, monks were busy with tasks. Some swept the stone paths, others tended to gardens filled with fresh herbs and vegetables, and a few were in the library, arranging scrolls and books. Liam could see the discipline in their movements, the care they took in every simple action. "Where should I start?" Liam asked, a little unsure. "Anywhere you feel you can help," Aaron replied. "The work itself teaches patience, observation, and respect for others. Watch first, then act." Liam began by helping with the herbs. Aaron guided him through the small garden, showing him how to trim leaves carefully, water the plants evenly, and identify those ready for harvest. At first, Liam's movements were clumsy, but with Aaron's gentle guidance, he gradually found a rhythm. They moved together, silently communicating with gestures and quiet words. Liam noticed how attentive Aaron was, not just to the plants, but to him. Every so often, Aaron would smile encouragingly, and Liam felt a warmth he could not quite name. Later, Aaron took him to the library. Liam marveled at the rows of scrolls, their surfaces worn with age yet cared for meticulously. Aaron showed him texts about philosophy, history, and the natural world. Liam's curiosity grew with each story and lesson. "These texts are more than words," Aaron said softly. "They are guidance for living, for understanding yourself and your place in the world." As the morning passed, Liam began to understand why the monks seemed so calm and confident. Their days were structured, yet filled with purpose. Every action had meaning, and every moment was a chance to learn. Aaron moved beside him throughout, answering questions and pointing out small details Liam would have otherwise missed: a particularly strong branch of a herb, a subtle pattern in the scrolls, or a quiet bird watching them from a rooftop. By midday, the two paused on the edge of the cliff, overlooking the valley. The wind ruffled their hair, carrying the scent of pine and distant flowers. Liam felt a sense of freedom he had never known before. "I never imagined a place like this existed," he said, voice low. "It's perfect in a way." Aaron smiled, eyes soft. "It is not perfect. Every place has challenges. But here, we learn to face them calmly, with patience and care." They shared a quiet moment, drinking tea Aaron had prepared. Liam noticed how effortlessly Aaron moved, his hands steady, his voice calm, and his presence reassuring. The connection between them was growing, subtle but undeniable. Liam found himself watching Aaron's expressions, noting the gentle way he smiled and the soft tone in his voice. He realized that the bond forming between them was unlike any friendship he had known. As afternoon came, Liam helped other monks repair small sections of the monastery roof. He worked beside Aaron, passing tools and learning techniques. Every now and then, Aaron's hand would brush against his accidentally, sending a small thrill through Liam. He caught himself smiling more than once, feeling a strange mix of admiration and something deeper for Aaron. The day ended with a shared meal in the hall. The monks ate quietly, savoring simple food and enjoying the companionship of one another. Liam listened, laughed softly at Aaron's dry humor, and felt a sense of belonging he had never experienced before. As night fell, Liam stood again at the cliff's edge, gazing at the stars. The world below seemed distant, and yet the monastery, perched high above, felt like the heart of everything that was good and steady. Aaron came to stand beside him, silent but present. Liam realized that in just one day, he had learned so much, not only about the monastery and its teachings, but about trust, patience, and the quiet power of connection. "I am glad you are here, Liam," Aaron said softly. "Not just for the work, but for being yourself." Liam felt a warmth in his chest, a quiet joy. "I am glad too," he whispered. "I have never felt so at peace." They stayed together on the cliff for a long time, watching the moon rise and the stars glimmer. Liam realized that the bond forming between him and Aaron was becoming the most important part of his visit. It was not rushed or loud, it was calm, steady, and real, like the monastery itself. And he knew that whatever challenges came, this connection would guide him, giving him courage and hope in ways he could not yet fully understand. The morning sun had just begun to warm the monastery courtyard when Liam noticed something unusual. A thin wisp of smoke rose from the valley below. At first, he thought it might be a small fire in the forest, perhaps caused by lightning or dry leaves. But as he watched, the smoke grew darker, curling higher into the sky. His heart quickened. He turned to Aaron, who was tending to the herb garden. "Aaron, look. Do you see that smoke?" Aaron followed Liam's gaze, his expression calm but alert. "Yes," he said softly. "It seems a fire has started in the lower forest. We must act carefully." Liam felt a sudden surge of worry. "Is it dangerous for the monastery?" Aaron nodded. "It could be. The wind will carry it closer if we do not prepare. Come, help me alert the others." The two of them moved quickly through the stone corridors, knocking on doors and warning the monks. Some gathered water from the fountain, others readied blankets and supplies, and the elder monks convened to plan their response. Despite the urgency, there was no panic. The monks' calm efficiency reassured Liam, though his own heart raced. Aaron stayed close to him, guiding his hands as they carried buckets of water from the fountain to strategic points near the monastery walls. "Remember," Aaron said quietly, "we act together. Panic weakens us. Focus on each step, and the danger becomes smaller." As they worked, the smoke thickened and the smell of burning wood reached the monastery. Liam's stomach tightened, but Aaron's steady presence reminded him to breathe. The wind picked up, sending sparks flying in their direction. Liam felt a shiver run down his spine. This was the first real test of courage he had faced since arriving, and he realized that facing danger with Aaron by his side made it feel possible. The monks formed teams, each responsible for different parts of the monastery. Liam and Aaron took the ledge closest to the cliffside forest, where flames could come closest if the wind shifted. They carried buckets of water, doused dry shrubs, and moved quickly but carefully. Liam's hands trembled at first, but Aaron's calm guidance kept him steady. At one point, Liam stepped too close to the edge, and a loose stone slid under his foot. For a brief, terrifying moment, he lost his balance. Aaron reacted instantly, grabbing his arm and pulling him back. Their eyes met, wide with adrenaline and relief. Liam's heart pounded, but he could not help the small smile that formed despite the fear. "Thank you," he whispered. Aaron's grip loosened, but he kept his hand near Liam's shoulder. "Be careful. Courage is not the absence of fear, but moving forward despite it," he said softly. The fire raged below, but together they worked tirelessly. Liam began to understand that bravery was not just about fighting flames, it was about staying calm, thinking clearly, and trusting others. Each time he handed a bucket to Aaron, their fingers brushed, sending a quiet warmth through him, even amid the danger. Hours passed, and slowly the monks managed to prevent the fire from reaching the monastery. The wind shifted, carrying the flames away, and the smoke began to thin. Exhausted, the group gathered near the fountain to rest. Liam sat down heavily, chest heaving, feeling both relief and exhilaration. He looked at Aaron, who was also catching his breath, and realized how much he admired him not only for his skill and courage, but for the quiet strength that seemed to flow from him naturally. Aaron smiled faintly. "We did well," he said. "The monastery is safe, thanks to everyone's effort." Liam nodded, feeling a mix of pride and gratitude. "I could not have done it without you," he admitted quietly. Aaron's eyes softened. "You did more than you know, Liam. You stayed calm, worked hard, and trusted in your abilities. That is what matters." As night fell, Liam stood on the cliffside, looking down at the valley below. The fire had retreated, leaving only the faint smell of smoke in the air. The stars began to appear, twinkling as if celebrating the day's survival. Aaron came to stand beside him, silent but present, and Liam felt a comforting sense of connection. "This day has shown me something important," Liam said quietly, voice barely above the wind. "I didn't know courage could feel so steady when shared with someone else." Aaron looked at him, his gaze warm and calm. "Courage is always stronger when it is shared. And trust is its companion." They stood together for a long time, listening to the night, watching the valley, and feeling the quiet strength of the monastery. Liam realized that the danger had not only tested their abilities, it had revealed the bond forming between him and Aaron. It was a bond built on trust, shared effort, and quiet understanding. And as he watched the moon rise over the cliffs, Liam felt certain that whatever challenges lay ahead, he would face them with Aaron by his side. The fire had moved closer to the cliffs by mid-morning, casting a bright orange glow against the gray rocks below. Liam and Aaron stood side by side, their hands carrying buckets of water, their faces streaked with sweat and soot. The heat from the flames was intense, and the crackling of burning wood filled the air like a warning. Yet, neither of them hesitated. They had a task, and together, they faced it with steady determination. "Pass the bucket," Aaron said, pointing toward a small section of dry shrubs near the monastery walls. Liam handed it carefully, their fingers brushing for a moment. The touch was brief, but Liam felt a spark of warmth, even amid the fear and smoke. "Are you sure this will hold?" Liam asked, nodding at the thin barrier of wet soil and stones they had created to stop the fire from spreading. Aaron glanced at it, then back at him. "It will. But we must stay alert. Fires change quickly, just like life. Focus on what you can control. As the day went on, the monks worked tirelessly, carrying water, moving supplies, and guiding each other safely. Liam found himself increasingly confident, following Aaron's calm instructions. Together, they moved like a single unit, instinctively knowing when to act and when to wait. Each small victory keeping a patch of grass wet, preventing a spark from jumping was a triumph, and the fire seemed to respect their courage. At one point, Liam was moving quickly along the cliffside when a loose stone slid under his foot. He stumbled dangerously close to the edge, his heart leaping into his throat. Aaron reacted instantly, grabbing Liam's arm and pulling him back. Their eyes met, wide with fear and relief. Liam's pulse raced, but he also felt a quiet sense of trust. He knew Aaron would not let him fall. "Thank you," Liam whispered, his voice shaky but sincere. "You are learning," Aaron replied softly, a hint of a smile on his soot-streaked face. "Courage grows with every step, every decision, even when fear is present." The two continued their work, sweat and soot mixing on their faces. Liam began to notice the small details about Aaron that he had not before, the steady rhythm of his breathing, the way his eyes carefully scanned the area for danger, the quiet reassurance in his voice. There was strength in Aaron, yes, but also patience, kindness, and a deep understanding that made Liam feel safe. As the fire neared another section of the monastery, Liam and Aaron worked together to move valuable scrolls and texts to a safer location. Liam carried a heavy bundle, and Aaron helped steady it, their hands occasionally brushing. Each touch felt like a quiet promise, unspoken but understood. By late afternoon, the monks had managed to prevent the fire from reaching the main buildings. The flames roared below, but the monastery walls held firm, protected by their careful planning and hard work. Liam wiped sweat from his brow and looked at Aaron. We did it," he said, awe in his voice. Aaron nodded, exhaustion visible on his face, but his eyes still held calm confidence. "Yes. Together, we did it. But remember, courage is not just about this day. It is about the choices we make every day, even when life is quiet and safe." The sun began to set, painting the sky in shades of pink and gold. Liam and Aaron stood on the cliffside, watching the distant fire. The danger was not fully gone, but they had survived it. Liam felt a mixture of relief, pride, and something deeper, a growing bond with Aaron that had become stronger under the pressure of the day. Aaron looked at him, his expression soft. "You were brave today, Liam. More than you realize." Liam's heart swelled. I could not have done it without you," he admitted quietly. Aaron's hand brushed against his as they turned to leave the cliffside. "We rely on each other. That is what matters." As night fell, Liam felt the cool breeze on his face and the quiet strength of the monastery around him. The fire had tested them, shown them their fears, and yet it had also shown them courage and trust. Most importantly, it had deepened the connection between him and Aaron. That night, as Liam lay in his small room, he thought about the day. The fire had been terrifying, yes, but it had also revealed the steady, unspoken bond growing between him and Aaron. In the quiet of the monastery, he realized that this bond, built on trust and courage, could withstand anything. And for the first time, he felt not just admiration, but something warmer, stronger, something he would not yet name, but that promised a future filled with hope and companionship. The night after the fire was quiet, but heavy with exhaustion. Liam and Aaron sat on a small ledge near the cliff, their legs dangling over the edge. Below, the valley glowed faintly from the last embers of the forest fire, and above, the stars sparkled like tiny lanterns. The monastery itself was safe, though some walls and gardens had been damaged. The monks moved quietly through the hallways, tending to what they could and ensuring everyone was settled. Liam let out a deep breath, feeling the weight of the day slowly lifting. He had never experienced such fear and adrenaline before, yet he also felt a strange sense of pride. He had faced danger, worked hard, and survived. Most importantly, he had done it alongside Aaron. "You were amazing today," Liam said softly, not looking at Aaron, but at the horizon. Aaron's gaze remained steady, his calm presence a contrast to Liam's restless thoughts. "You were too," he said quietly. "Courage is not just about facing the fire. It is about staying present, helping others, and trusting yourself. You did all of that." Liam turned to look at him. For a moment, they simply stared at each other, the unspoken connection between them stronger than words. The fire had tested their courage, but it had also brought them closer. Liam could feel it in the way his chest warmed, in the quiet thrum of excitement and comfort that came from being near Aaron. They sat in silence for a while, listening to the distant crackle of the dying flames and the soft rustle of the wind through the cliffs. Liam's mind wandered back to the events of the day: the slipping stone, the near fall, the shared efforts to protect the monastery. Each moment was vivid, each brush of Aaron's hand or shared glance leaving a lasting impression. Finally, Liam spoke again. "I never thought I would feel so calm after such a dangerous day." Aaron smiled faintly, a soft warmth in his expression. "That is what the monastery teaches. Even in chaos, there is calm. Even in fear, there is clarity. You only need to open yourself to it." Liam nodded, thinking about how much he had learned in just a few days. The monastery was more than a place of study, it was a place of growth, of reflection, and of connection. And in the quiet glow of the stars, he realized that the bond he shared with Aaron was one of the most important lessons of all. "Do you ever get scared?" Liam asked, curiosity in his voice. Aaron's eyes softened. "Of course. Fear is natural. But courage is not the absence of fear, it is acting even when you are afraid. Today, you acted bravely. That is something to remember." Liam felt a sense of relief wash over him. He had been afraid, yes, but with Aaron beside him, he had been able to face it. He realized that courage was not just about physical danger, it was also about trust, and about opening oneself to new experiences and connections. The two remained on the ledge for hours, watching the stars slowly move across the sky. Liam shared stories from his past, of quiet adventures and simple moments of joy, and Aaron listened, sometimes laughing softly, sometimes nodding thoughtfully. In turn, Aaron shared tales of the monastery, of monks who had lived there long before, and of lessons learned through patience and care. Liam felt honored that Aaron was sharing these moments with him, feeling more connected than he had ever felt with anyone else. As the night deepened, Liam realized something new: he did not want the day to end. Not just because of the beauty of the stars or the quiet of the monastery, but because of Aaron. He wanted more moments like this, where they could talk, share, and simply be together. He felt a flutter of hope and excitement, a quiet anticipation of what might come. Finally, Aaron stood, brushing the dust from his robes. "We should rest," he said softly. "Tomorrow will bring more work, and the monastery always needs our care." Liam nodded, but he lingered for a moment, watching the stars one last time. Then he stood, side by side with Aaron, feeling a quiet contentment and a deep sense of trust. Whatever challenges lay ahead, he knew that together they could face them, and perhaps, in that shared courage and calm, a bond even stronger than friendship would continue to grow. As they walked back to the monastery, the night seemed lighter somehow, filled with quiet promise. Liam's heart was full, not just with relief, but with the unspoken connection he felt with Aaron. The fire had tested them, shown them fear, and yet it had also shown them trust, courage, and the beginnings of something beautiful. The morning sun spilled across the monastery courtyard, warming the stone paths and illuminating the repairs that had begun after the fire. Liam rose early, determined to help rebuild what had been damaged. The air smelled faintly of smoke, but it also carried the fresh scent of herbs and damp earth. Monks moved with purpose, carrying stones, fixing walls, and tending to the gardens. Despite the hard work, there was a quiet energy of hope and determination. Aaron approached Liam with a small bundle of tools in his hands. "Ready for another day?" he asked, his calm smile lifting Liam's spirits immediately. "Always," Liam replied, feeling a small thrill at the thought of working alongside him again. Their first task was repairing a section of the monastery wall that had cracked from the heat of the fire. Liam worked under Aaron's guidance, learning how to mix mortar and place stones carefully so that the wall would be strong and steady. As they worked, Aaron offered small lessons not just about the technique, but about patience, care, and balance. Liam listened intently, not just absorbing the instructions, but also admiring the quiet wisdom Aaron carried in every word. "Like this," Aaron said, guiding Liam's hands as he adjusted a stone. Their fingers brushed, and Liam felt a sudden warmth that made him smile. Aaron glanced at him, eyes soft, and said, "Good. You have learned quickly." The morning passed with steady work and gentle conversation. Liam discovered that even in repair, there was beauty, every stone placed carefully, every wall straightened, every garden tended with care. And through it all, Aaron remained by his side, a calm presence that made even the hardest tasks feel easier. At midday, they paused to rest on the cliffside. The valley below stretched endlessly, bathed in sunlight, and the distant mountains shimmered with heat. Liam poured tea into 2 small cups, offering one to Aaron. They sat in silence for a moment, sipping slowly, letting the quiet of the monastery sink in. "You have grown stronger these past days," Aaron said softly. "Not just in work, but in your courage and patience." Liam felt a small blush rise to his cheeks. "I could not have done it without you. You guide me in more ways than I can count." Aaron's gaze met his, steady and calm. "And you inspire me too, Liam. Courage is contagious. You remind me why we keep going, even when work is hard or life is uncertain." The words hung in the air, warm and real. Liam's heart thumped, a quiet excitement growing between them. For a long moment, they simply watched the valley, enjoying the peace and connection that had grown stronger with every shared task and every quiet word. The afternoon brought new work. Liam and Aaron helped restore the monastery's herb garden, replanting those that had been damaged by the fire. Liam carefully dug holes, placed the seedlings, and watered them under Aaron's watchful eye. Every so often, their hands would meet while passing tools or adjusting plants, and each time, Liam felt a small thrill. By the end of the day, the monastery was beginning to look whole again. Walls were reinforced, gardens were tended, and a sense of calm had returned. Liam felt pride in their hard work, but also a deeper satisfaction in the quiet bond he shared with Aaron. It was not rushed or loud, it was steady, reliable, and comforting, like the monastery itself. As the sun dipped below the mountains, Liam and Aaron stood on the cliffside one last time, surveying their progress. "We have done well," Aaron said softly, a rare note of warmth in his voice. "Yes," Liam agreed. I. "I'm glad I stayed here, and, with you." Aaron's eyes softened, and he took a small step closer. "And I am glad you are here, Liam. Your presence, it brings strength and joy, more than you may know." For a moment, the world seemed to pause. The gentle breeze, the distant rustle of the valley, the quiet hum of the monastery all faded into the background as Liam and Aaron simply looked at each other. Words were not necessary, the bond between them was clear, deep, and mutual. Finally, Liam smiled, a quiet but genuine smile. "I feel the same," he said softly. Aaron reached out, lightly brushing Liam's hand with his. It was a simple gesture, but full of meaning. Liam felt a warmth spread through him, a quiet certainty that this connection, born in shared courage and quiet moments, would continue to grow. As night fell, the two returned to the monastery, hands brushing occasionally, sharing small smiles and quiet laughter. The work was not yet done, but for the first time, Liam felt that even challenges could be faced with joy, as long as Aaron was near. And in the quiet of the monastery, with stars above and a gentle breeze around them, Liam realized that this day had brought more than repairs to walls and gardens. It had brought a deeper understanding of courage, trust, and a budding love that would guide them forward together. The monastery had returned to its quiet rhythm. The walls were repaired, the gardens blooming once again, and the scent of herbs and fresh earth filled the air. Liam walked through the courtyard, carrying a small basket of flowers he had picked from the restored gardens. Each step felt lighter than the last, as if the weight of the fire and the days of hard work had been replaced with peace and contentment. Aaron approached him, carrying a small bundle of tools. "Good morning, Liam," he said, his calm smile warm and steady. "The monastery looks well again, thanks to all our efforts." Liam smiled back, feeling a sense of pride. "It does," he said softly. "And it feels more alive than ever." Together, they began the morning chores, moving easily through the courtyard. Liam helped Aaron repair small sections of the roof and tidy the stone paths. They worked side by side, sometimes speaking, sometimes in comfortable silence. Each glance and each touch of hands while passing tools carried a quiet joy that made Liam's heart lift. After their work, they took a walk along the cliffside. The valley stretched endlessly below them, bathed in morning light. Birds sang from the trees, and the distant mountains gleamed like silver under the sun. Liam breathed deeply, feeling the fresh air fill his lungs. For the first time in a long while, he felt fully present, fully alive, and fully at peace. Aaron walked beside him, quiet but attentive, as he had been since the day Liam arrived. "The monastery teaches many things," Aaron said softly, "but one of the greatest lessons is that every moment is a chance to grow, to learn, and to care for others." Liam nodded, thinking about the fire, the repairs, and the quiet moments they had shared. "I've learned so much," he said. "Not just about courage and patience, but about trust and friendship, and something more." Aaron looked at him, his brown eyes calm yet full of meaning. "Something more?" he asked gently. "Yes," Liam whispered, a small smile forming on his lips. "I care for you, Aaron. More than I ever thought I could care for someone. You've guided me, taught me, and you've become important to me." Aaron's expression softened, and he stepped closer. "I care for you too, Liam. From the first day, I felt your courage, your kindness, and your heart. You are remarkable." For a long moment, they simply stood together, the wind brushing against their faces, the valley stretching endlessly below, and the quiet strength of the monastery surrounding them. Words were no longer necessary, their feelings were clear, steady, and true. Finally, Liam reached out, taking Aaron's hand in his own. Aaron held it gently, their fingers intertwining naturally. It was a small gesture, but full of meaning and unspoken promise of trust, support, and love. They walked along the cliffside, side by side, sharing quiet laughter and soft conversation. Liam felt an excitement in his chest, not loud or frantic, but calm and steady. He realized that the connection they shared was built on more than attraction, it was built on courage, shared experience, and mutual respect. The days passed, and Liam chose to stay longer at the monastery. He studied the ancient texts, helped in the gardens, and continued to assist with repairs. Each day brought new tasks, but also new moments with Aaron. They explored hidden paths along the cliffs, watched sunsets together, and shared simple meals in the quiet of the monastery hall. With each passing day, their bond grew stronger, deeper, and more comforting. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Liam and Aaron stood on their favorite cliffside ledge, looking out at the valley bathed in golden light. Liam leaned slightly against Aaron, feeling the steady warmth of his presence. "Whatever happens," Aaron said softly, "we face it together." Liam nodded, a quiet smile on his face. "Yes. Together." As the stars began to appear, they stood hand in hand, feeling a sense of completeness neither had expected to find. The monastery, perched high above the cliffs, had been a place of learning and courage, but it had also been a place of connection, trust, and love. And so, with the wind whispering through the cliffs and the moon rising over the valley, Liam and Aaron faced the future together. They knew challenges would come, but they also knew that their bond built on shared courage, quiet understanding, and unwavering trust would guide them through anything. The monastery, safe and steady, stood behind them, a symbol of endurance and hope. And as they walked back toward the warm glow of its lights, Liam realized that he had found more than knowledge and adventure here. He had found a partner, a friend, and a love that would last a lifetime. The cliffside stretched before them, the valley below calm and peaceful, and the stars above promising endless possibilities. Together, Liam and Aaron stepped forward, ready to face whatever came next, hearts full, spirits strong, and love unshakable.